We are incredibly lucky that this year Mr. Paul Clark, a great voice in our community for investments in early childhood, has taken on our role as co-chair. We are so lucky to have him. I've learned a great deal from him already. He's the regional president of PNC Bank, and he is also now Invest in Children's co-chair, Mr. Paul Clark.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful late fall morning. Crisp, I guess is the word, as I was reaching for my coat. Thanks for being here. It's a great group. Wow, I look out upon this wonderful group. First off, Rebecca, thank you. You're a great leader. You're an incredibly effective steward of our county's investment in children. So everybody, please join me in a round. And I also want to provide a big thank you to the service providers that are here this morning, as well as to all the early childhood professionals who are in the audience this morning. You make it happen, and it only happens because of you. So let me add my thanks as well. You know, I think it's really appropriate that we're having this Invest in Children meeting here at Windows on the River. Because if you look outside these beautiful windows, you see what's happening in our community. And one of the great things happening in our community is about $6.5 billion of capital investment. And you can see cranes over there, and you can see a lot of construction work going that way. But if you think about that $6.5 billion of capital for a moment, the group that it ultimately benefits 10 and 15 years from now are our children. We've got to connect our children intellectually, psychologically, emotionally, to the capital that's coming out of the ground here in Greater Cleveland as we speak. They will bring those investments to life. And I think it's appropriate to be here because we've just got to make the right investments. We've got to make big investments. We've got to make investments in children that are sustaining and continuing for all of this stuff to work. It's the only way it's going to happen. And it really strikes me just looking out these windows at our future that, sure, sorry if you missed the first 10 minutes. You will not have to go through it again. But our work has never been more critical, so it's great that we're here. You know, my job is to provide greetings from the Partnership Committee, and it's really a treat for me to be the co-chair of this committee with County Executive Fitzgerald. Part of that treat is because of what we do at PNC. This work is absolutely consistent with our Grow Up Great program. We've already invested over the last 18 months over $3 million in early childhood education, and we have over 2,000 of our 5,000 Cleveland area employees who are volunteering in the early childhood space. We're very proud of that. But let's talk about the Partnership Committee for a second. It starts with, who are we? Running the risk of not acknowledging everybody, but I want to make sure everybody in the group knows who's been involved in this work over the past couple of years. And it's a number of people that Rebecca has already mentioned. But if you're here, let me ask you to stand so that we can acknowledge you. These are many of the people who have been involved in the Partnership Committee. I'll introduce the county executive in a moment. You've already met Rebecca. Mayor Frank Jackson has been very active. Kristen Baird Adams, my colleague from PNC Bank, Kathy Lewis from the Gun Foundation, Marcia Egbert, I saw earlier from the Gun Foundation, Lisa Bottoms from the Cleveland Foundation, Art Truhoff from TruMart Fund, Barry Doggett from Eaton Corporation, Denise Seaman from the St. Luke's Foundation, Mitch Balk from the Mount Sinai Healthcare Foundation, Leslie Dunn, very active in the community as well as with Mount Sinai, Mike Benz and a number of people from United Way have been very active. The William J. and Dorothy K. O'Neill Foundation, Dr. Bill Hilliard from the Jennings Foundation, David Weiss from DDR. Will you please stand so that we can acknowledge your contribution to the Partnership Committee? And I know I've left some folks out that have done great work. So that's who we are. So what are we? I think we're best described as a formal network. We meet formally twice a year, plus this annual meeting. More importantly, we meet on an ad hoc basis, and most often we meet on an ad hoc basis when needed. It could be that there's legislation going on either in Columbus or in Washington. It could be just an opportunity that's arisen in the community for us to take advantage of. And what we do, and I hope I don't pull a Rick Perry moment here, there are three things that we do. And I wrote them down. It's early. The first thing that we do is we really work to keep up the vision that we all share in this room. And that vision is that we are a broad community committed to children. We are a broad community committed to children. Number two is we serve as a voice for Cuyahoga County. We provide advocacy on behalf of the county for early childhood everywhere and anywhere we can. Practically, we persistently, and I would add consistently and insistently, look for investment dollars, especially the public dollars at both the federal and the state level. And that work's not getting any easier. And then thirdly, we work to catalyze the private sector, especially area corporations. I think we all agree that this effort only works best when we're a partnership of public and private dollars and public and private commitment. And that's much of the work we will pick up going forward. The other part of my job this morning, it's my honor to introduce my co-chair who's out of town today, but wanted to send his work and his message via video. I'll just introduce County Executive Fitzgerald by telling you a quick story. The very first time I met Ed Fitzgerald was, I think, in November or December of last year. Kristen Barrett Adams and I walked over to the interim offices. And I felt it important to build a relationship with the newly elected county exec. And I had to start my meeting by saying, Ed, I did not support you in the Democratic primary. I voted for somebody that I worked with for a number of years at PNC. Ed, I didn't support you in the general election. I supported your opponent. And here's the punchline of the story. He looked at me and he had that big smile and he laughed and said, Paul, it's okay, I didn't vote for you either. And that's the truth. What's important is what mattered to Ed was the work. And what mattered to Ed was the commitment to the work. He is genuinely committed to this work. In my first meeting with him, when we really sat down to talk about Invest in Children, he was real clear. He said, Paul, let's find the leverage points that enable the big idea to really bring this to a new level. And we talked about that for about a half an hour, about how do we bring this to a new level together in a public-private way. That was the second thing he emphasized, was we got to get the corporate community, the foundation community, as well as the public dollars all committed to make this work, this so important work the best. And what it really means for myself and for the partnership committee as we go our work together is really understand the capacity that the private community has to support the public work and bring this to a new level. We'll get at it, and I really look forward to that work. So ladies and gentlemen, my Invest in Children partner, County Executive Ed Fitzgerald.